You startled me. I have been deep in my research. You see, I think I am on to a very important discovery, and tonight is the night that my plan will come to fruition. You see, here in the DIY laboratory, I have been experimenting with where creativity originates from, and I think I have found it. Wait a minute. Once I harness the power of a creativity cell, I will be able to generate a creative brainstorm that will spread across the globe. Excuse me there. Let me show you what I have been working on here in the DIY laboratory. Each of these Halloween DIYs are inspired by Halloween home decor from high-end stores. We're gonna DIY them for a fraction of the price. So let's get started. While this thrifted wreath is really cute as is, I don't think it's looking very spooky. So I first wanted to remove all of the flowers off of it so that we could begin its Halloween transformation. For this project, I'm inspired by this Pottery Barn wreath. I really just loved the look of this. I loved the bats and the lights and just the overall shape. So when I found this wreath at the thrift store, I knew that it was going to be the perfect base for this project. And if you can't find a wreath like this at the thrift store, it's called a wispy grapevine wreath, and they do sell them at craft stores. I painted the entire wreath with some black spray paint just to mimic that Pottery Barn wreath because I liked that it was a black base to work with, and I think that's going to make it look extra spooky once we add the bats on. I did a lot of thinking about what I wanted to do to make the bats. I considered using paper or cardboard or even using my Cricut to cut out a bat shape, but I wanted to make this a little bit more accessible that anyone could do, so I'm going to use polymer clay and a bat-shaped cookie cutter, and this worked really great, and I also think makes the bats a little bit more durable for this wreath so that it can last for a long time. One of my favorite tricks to cut a hole out in the top where we're going to string these bats onto the wreath is just by using a plastic straw. It does the perfect little hole punch into the polymer clay. And then I just baked these bats in the oven following the instructions on my polymer clay packaging. After the bats had cooled, I am going to just paint them black. Now, obviously, I'm using white polymer clay right here, but you could totally use black polymer clay instead, and then could skip this painting step, but I just had a ton of white polymer clay on hand, and I just wanted to use what I had in my craft stash and knew that I could just paint them black with some acrylic paint, and it would work just as well as using black clay. As I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I loved about that Pottery Barn wreath were the lights that were on it. I think that's what really makes this wreath pop. So I found some very similar looking lights. I think at Target is where I got these, and I love them because they're actually an orange light versus just a warm white light, which makes it a little bit different from that Pottery Barn inspiration, but I love the orange lights even more because nothing is more Halloween to me than a combination of black and orange. To attach the bats to the wreath, I am just using some black twine, and I'm tying the bonds very similar to that Pottery Barn wreath, with some in the middle and other ones hanging from the sides and the bottom. Now, in order for this experiment to work, we're going to need more than one creativity cell to work with. So in this dropper, I have the solution of that creativity cell that I have been studying, and we're going to add it to this flask. And now it's time to add the multiplying agent. Wait a minute. Lab safety first. It's working, it's working! I fell in love with this cute little ghost cloche from Pottery Barn, but definitely not the price of it, and I knew that I could DIY something. So when I found this glass cloche at the thrift store, I knew that this project was meant to be. But as you can see, for this one in particular, it's covered in some flowers and butterflies and definitely not so spooky looking things. So I was able to just use some acetone to remove the design off of it to give me a plain glass cloche, which I love because it's going to work for this project and also because I have plans to style this year-round. To make the base that the dome will sit on, I just picked up this wood plaque from the craft store and painted it black. Now here is the fun part of this project, which is making the little ghosties. I'm so excited to show you how I did this. I picked up some basic gauze, from the first aid aisle at the store, and then used a bottle and a little ball and some aluminum foil to create the ghost form. There's a ton of different ways that you could make your ghost form. You could even just use aluminum foil alone, but I just did this because I had these items in my apartment and I was able to create just my two little basic shapes that I'm going to start adding that gauze over top. And what we're going to do is essentially create like a paper mache, but using the gauze instead. So I'm taking some Mod Podge and then also some water and mixing it together until it creates a very milky consistency. And then I'm going to dip my pieces of gauze into that mixture and begin applying them over my form. And you can see that I kind of draped them over each of these little forms to create that ghost shape, and they start to really come to life in this step, and I think they are so cute, even just like this, and I couldn't wait to see what they would look like after they dried. So after I gave them a couple hours of dry time sitting in the sunlight, which really helps speed things up, I gave the bottoms just a little bit of a trim. And now it is time for the assembly. Of course, I have to add lights since the Pottery Barn piece had lights in it as well. I'm just using some battery-operated fairy lights for this, a little bit of some hot glue, and you can see that I'm just arranging my two little ghosts on this plaque like this. Once your ghosts are arranged as you like them, all you have to do is paint on some cute little ghost faces, and then you can place the cloche right on top, and you have this adorable little Halloween decor piece. That was a little more dramatic than I thought it would be, but we have done it! We have successfully multiplied the creativity cell. But this isn't the only thing we need for this experiment to be a success. What we need to do now is create the fuel that will power the Brainstorm-O-Matic 3000. We're going to add in all of our necessary ingredients. First, we need essence of inspiration. Now our creativity cells. Now we need a little bit of some ambition. And finally, you have to add a little bit of some DIY skills. Why aren't these combining? This makes no sense. Maybe if I give it a little stir. For the next project, I'm going to be making these cute Halloween village houses. I've seen a couple at a couple different high-end stores, and I knew that I could DIY something using these thrifted bird houses. The first thing that I needed to do was give them a good clean, because boy, these were dusty. Then I took my drill and I added a hole in the back of each of the houses. That way I would be able to string some lights on the inside when it is time to display them. I love this little saw. It is super handy to have for small crafty things just like this, like creating shingles for the roof of a birdhouse. Really, with this project, I decided that I just wanted to have a lot of fun with it. Just wanted to see where my creativity and a couple popsicle sticks would take me to transform a birdhouse that probably might have been like a church-shaped birdhouse into a haunted house. This is one of those projects that was genuinely so much fun to create, and it really just gave me a chance to do something that I feel like I don't do a whole lot of, which is get really crafty with a project. And I think DIYers can relate that these types of projects are so necessary to help you reset and get those creative juices flowing. And I love how just kind of doing what felt right really made these birdhouses transform into a cute Halloween village. Finally, I couldn't leave them in their colorful and popsicle covered forms, so I just spray painted them with a satin black spray paint. We've done it! We've done it! This is exactly what we need to generate this brainstorm. What you see before you is the Brainstorm-O-Matic 3000, and we made the perfect fuel to generate this brainstorm. I just have to add it right here. And of course, the final act, we need power. It's working! It's working! My brainstorm, I can see it spreading across the world. Soon everybody will have ideas for endless DIY projects. And I think I'm having my own brainstorm right now. And it's telling you to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future DIY projects.